Hello, hi, I'm back again. Ooh, Inception. Okay, so look, Titan, Titan time, Titan aspects up first. First one, the one that everybody uh needs to know about, Banner of War. Banner of War has a lot going on at the same time. Yeah, has a lot going on at the same time, but it all kind of blends into each other. First of all, Banner of War can stack up to times four. All right. Stacking up to times 4 only increases one portion of what it does. One thing that a Banner of War does is it gives you heals over time. Every time it pulses, quote unquote, you and all allies within your circle, your radius, will get healed. Same amount of health. What? 20 health every 2.5 seconds. Alright, cool. So that's the first thing. Second thing it does is it increases sword, melee, glaive. Yeah, sword, melee, and glaive damage. All sources of each of those by a different amount. It's procced by you getting a melee kill, any kind of melee kill, or sword kill, or glaive kill, or your super light attack, by the way, or a finisher. Yeah, so basically, if you're up close to something and you kill it with something that's not a gun, uh, bam, you get Banner of War, right? So it is a 40% increase to melee damage, a 25% increase to glaive damage, and a 10% increase to sword damage, all of which are good, right? These buffs are adjusted whenever you get biotic enhancements and or burning fist stacks from Warm God's Caress. This is one of the best aspects in the game solely because it helps you not die and it increases your melee damage. This is what makes, I mean, the moment that this dropped, this is when Strand Titan became up in your face, I'm fighting you. Finally makes sense. Their namesake makes sense. Berserker Titan. I'll let you see some footage of it. It's really good. As you can see, I get to kill with my sword. I get Banner of War. And if you keep getting kills through any means after that, then based off the type of kills you get, you will both extend your timer and have a chance to increase your Banner of War from stack 1 to up to stack 4. Yeah. Um, it's really good. S tier. All right, now we're moving on to Dranger's Lash. This was the previous quote unquote meta Strand Titan deal. You use your barricade, you make a line that goes along the ground, and the line will suspend enemies. Um, Suspension's just really good. Suspend was really good at the time of this being meta. It has been nerfed down a bit, but it's still really good as it does all the things you would expect it picking people up and stringing them up would do. And there's a bunch of fragments that synergize with it, so this works out good. This is solid. Flechette Storm. This is cool, but I don't know how actually viable it is. Um, of course, it's another run and slide melee ability, but you start to yeet out these little strand pokes that unravel the opponent. It only drains 50% of your melee energy, so for each melee charge you have multiple swings. You have two swings per melee charge, which is nice. Um, as far as like doing a bunch of damage or anything of that sort, I don't think it does that. I think it's better for ad clear because it starts unraveling rounds, and unraveling rounds is good. That's about it for me as far as usefulness. I would have to see like DPS numbers by somebody that's smarter than me um, for me to like choose to use this, but I don't obviously see anything that makes me say, hey, this is gonna be amazing. It's just good for ad clear when you have other ways to proc unraveling rounds or unraveling in general. So, all right, and then the final aspect is Into the Fray. This combined with Banner of War and previously combined with Dranger's Clash made you basically immortal if done properly. Into the Fray releases three pulses once the Tangle is destroyed. That oh, it gives you health. I didn't know that. Anyways, um, it grants Woven Mail. Woven Mail is a 40 like 35. It's either 35 or 40% damage reduction. It also gives it to all allies who are within a certain radius of you. If you pop your super near your teammates, then they will get Woven Mail. And while you have Woven Mail, you have a huge melee regeneration rate increase, which to me is pretty obvious where they're going for here. You're a Berserker Titan. This is kind of what you do. Um, you get in there and you punch the thing. That's what we're trying to get done. Um, that is basically it. But because of how this ties with like Banner of War, because you're getting melee damage with Banner of War, you're getting the ability to not die with this one. You're also getting healed from both of them a little bit. You kind of just get to go in there and just punch things over and over, and that alone, that's just sick. Um, so yeah, this is the only melee class in the entire game. That's not true. Don't let me lie to you. This is one of the very few melee classes in the game that are actually viable at every set of the game. You could use this everywhere. It gets harder in later game content, which just proves how hard it is to just do this anyway, but you can use this anywhere. Alright, so moving on to the melee, which is also super important here. Frenzied Blade. First of all, you have 3 stacks of this, as with uh, is that same thing with Warlock, by the way. But you have 3 stacks of discharge. The more charges you have, the faster the base regeneration is in the first place. So it starts off slow, and then once you get one, then it makes it easier. And there's other ways to increase your melee regeneration. So that's one thing. Two, it performs like you have like an animation where you do like a big slice, which can hit multiple enemies, so it's not single target. And it also severs the enemy, which is super important because if you're going to be close to things, you kind of want them to not hurt you as much. So yeah, that solves that problem. So as long as you have enough of these charges to hit the thing that is the most dangerous to you, this also helps you not die. Again, this is why I think this is one of the best. This is one of the most well-designed classes I think in the game, and I think that's why it's really strong. And people don't like it because it's pretty obviously dominant. But people don't like anything that's like super dominant. Uh, the only thing I think is out of line is combining this with grapple grenade. The way that grapple grenade works right now and how it increases melee damage and stuff. That was what I having that borderline infinitely. That was what was broken. But I mean, to be able to do a massive chunk of damage to a boss after you've melee like 5 enemies and you use tractor cannon and you 1-2 punch shotgun. You see what I'm saying? There's so much you gotta go into to make this work. But even at base, just a 1-2 punch shotgun shot and a swing of your blade will mess up most enemies. Do a huge chunk of damage to them. And then on top of that, it also weakens them if they for some reason don't die. So not weaken. I want to make sure I use the proper terminology. You will sever them. Um, so it's really good, really, really good. And then, of course, Blade Fury, which is your super. You pop blades on both of your hands. Light attacks are your swings. Right attack is your ranged attack where you throw 2 waves similar to Dranger's Lash of damage at enemies that will suspend. You deal more damage to anything that is suspended, so that does mean you have a little bit of synergy with Dranger's Lash or Shackle Grenades. Um, and the aspect when you get one kill, you make other things get suspended. If there's any ways you can proc suspend easily, then you kind of want that on this. Also, Banner of War heals you over time, which is really good for this as well. And your swing counts as a melee attack. Your light attack counts as a melee attack for the purposes of Banner of War. I believe it also increases your melee damage of those light attacks because it is considered a melee attack. Um, Again, I'm going over a lot of things and I feel like I may be speaking a little fast, so I want this to be clear as day, alright? This is the best singular subclass Bungie has ever dropped. I'm willing to bet a lot of things on that. and I don't really think it's close. I don't feel like I'm like uh, blowing out my ass here. I think this is pretty obvious. This super is really good. The only thing I don't like about the subclass is Flechette Storm, and it's not bad. It's just more niche than everything else that is this year. Um, the super does really good damage, especially when you suspend targets. The heavy attack does a lot of damage by itself and suspends targets. Um, the melee is great. Trying to apply grapple to things. Or apply grapple. Using grapple to melee into things. That's really good. A bunch of burst damage. Broken, in fact, at current. I think some adjustments may help it not be so broken. Using shackle grenades are even viable because if you pick something up, then you can deal more damage to it with your super. Um, it's a good way to just stay in the fight. Because for some reason they decided to also give you all of your melee charges back at the end of your super. So you can shotgun melee, shotgun melee, pop super. Then when you leave your super, shotgun melee, shotgun melee. So you can even use it versus bosses who are who you can actually touch. This is really good subclass. This is like one of my longer ones on a specific class. This is the best subclass I think they've ever came out with. The most synergistic. Um, they literally have been slowly beating it down for a while now, and I think they're doing it this way because they know that it's really good, and they just want to bring it closer in line with everything else. But this is the standard. They can't bring out anything else that doesn't match this standard of synergy. Um, which is why I think Prismatic is a good little break for them, so they don't have to like, you know, compete with how good Strand Titan is. All right, so stop gawking over Strand Titan. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.